Welcome to your If Astrology Isn't Real minisode presented to you by Cosmic RX Radio, where I spill the tea on this week's headlines, politics, pop culture, world events, all written in the stars. Let's dive in. If astrology isn't real, then why are we all obsessed with watching the Conclave right now? Like it is the next draft, the papal draft. My TikTok is giving in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Algorithm, Holy North Node in Pisces. I'm going to talk about really a lot of things that are North Node in Pisces coded today. So buckle up, get excited. I'm your host, Maddie Murphy. This is my bedroom. If you're watching on YouTube, that's my yellow suit. And we are getting into the third week of a very special extra segment we're doing here, If Astrology Isn't Real, where we look at what happened in the last week in media, in pop culture, on the world stage, and break it down through the astrological lens because we love to do it. It's how our brains work, right? Who here literally sees everything through the lens of astrology? And not only that, but also we get to use these charts of the moment, these transits, to also understand more of our role right now or the cosmic context we're in terms of history, which just helps because it's a lot. It's a lot out there. Shout out. I am going to be pulling up and dropping a Substack link in the show notes this week. Shout out to all of you, first of all, who chime in the DMs and the comments, in the email and the inbox every week with your own If Astrology Isn't Real. You all are my little cosmic field reporters out there of what's going on the political stage, what's going on in pop culture, what's going on in the trends that just feel very astrologically aligned. And for this, I'm very grateful. One of you baddies really went above and beyond, I would say, this week, breaking down some of the Pinterest forecasted trends and really breaking it down how much it applies to the nodal shift into Pisces. So I'm going to get into that in a moment. But as always, we're going to talk a little politics, a little pop culture, a little sneak peek into someone's chart, and then, of course, a little forecasting. And I gather information for these, but I just kind of like to see intuitively what's the thing that I'm seeing over and over again in the zeitgeist, and just how is it kind of screaming at me to understand okay, this is happening. There's a cosmic rhythm. There is a sort of meaning behind this madness. And so I'm going to jump right into it. We could probably, in addition to watching the North Node in Pisces, we should start an official Pluto and Aquarius watch here. If you've been here on the main podcast, on the energy reports of Cosmic RX Radio, you all know I've been talking about Pluto and Aquarius for years, and it's revolutionary times, right? This is our first Pluto retrograde. It started on May 4th, where we're going to be just in Pluto and Aquarius for the retrograde, the first time in our lifetime. And just as a little backdrop, Pluto rules. Pluto wants to help us reveal things. Pluto wants to bring out imbalances of power. Pluto is a big karmic catch-up moment. And in Aquarius is the sign of revolution, of progress, of innovation, of we the people, community. And so we know it's going to be spicy. It's going to be a spicy time. Pluto's been dancing back and forth in Aquarius for a minute now, since 2023. We've seen a lot that is very literal. And one of the things that we were looking out for as we gathered the kind of astrological intelligence, the true AI, if I may, the astrological intelligence from looking at history and really gathering those receipts. At least this is me 8 years ago. I'm Pluto and Aquarius, everyone's talking about it. This feels okay, Haitian Revolution, French Revolution, Scientific Revolution, okay, the Protestant Reformation. We're okay, the key word here is definitely revolution, and this concept of the power being distributed, redistributed from the few to the many, right? And definitely the thing that stood out to me over and over again, it was definitely the French Revolution, right? The French Revolution, let them eat cake. And we've been talking about this for years, but interestingly enough, as Pluto really landed into Aquarius this fall, I feel I could not stop. Let me know if you feel this way too. I just found so many articles, mainstream news articles, drawing very clear parallels to French Revolution and then Marie Antoinette of it all. And I think definitely Luigi Mangione, that was a big moment where people were sort of okay, that's this watching the collective, a lot of people more than you'd expect on both or all sides of the political spectrum here in the US and on the global world stage be like, we're not as mad as I think the corporate overlords want us to be at this, because healthcare is there's criminal behavior happening, and it's not exactly like we're not looking at Luigi here. We're looking at you, the people who are, really denying rights, medical treatment, to people who really need it and deserve it and pay for it. It's gotten weird, right? And the Pluto and Aquarius, it was happening before then, some of the French Revolution, like stuff in the news, but that was a moment I saw a lot of it. And just in general, right now, as we're going into like the tariff realm, as we saw with the inauguration of a lot of these corporate oligarchs like kissing the ring, and the space shuttle trip, and people on Earth being like, yeah, we can't afford bread. Like, we wish, let them eat cake. Like, okay, we would be happy for even some just bread. Right now the groceries are ridiculously priced. People can't afford to buy homes, can't afford healthcare, just things that should be kind of on like the base level of our human needs in our hierarchy of, back to Maslow, anyone who studied that. Meanwhile, the rich are getting insanely richer, getting so out of touch. And it seems like every bill that passes is taking away something from us, whether it's like our national park land that's supposed to be protected, to, PBS funding, to, again, things that are just put in place to protect us. They're being stripped away in the name of cutting costs, while there's so many tax cuts and special, under the table or over the table deals happening that are, of course, benefiting that 1% or that like 0.01% people. Okay, I'm going on a tangent here, but that is what I do. But I'm saying this because Pluto and Aquarius, I think, came to a head this week, especially as Pluto stationed retrograde, where there was another one of these mainstream moments that felt like such a clear parallel. So as we do our Pluto and Aquarius watch, when Donald Trump got on TV, and first of all, I have something to say about him being on TV. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But Donald Trump getting on TV and giving this like completely erratic and weird and ill-informed and delusional and not in a good way interview, about his first 100 days. And then saying that like, yeah, the cost of things are going up, and maybe kids this year and young girls, he listed ages like 9 and 15 or something, maybe they'll have to get 2 dolls instead of 30. So just setting aside all the other completely nonsensical things that he said, I was like, damn, that felt so much like the let them eat cake, right? So it's like, while you are talking about having golden toilet seats and making so much money on crypto scams and selling Bibles, and again, and all your cronies, this is like the most, billionaires in a cabinet ever. You're all like just taking, but somewhere, in America, we should be telling children, sorry for the holidays this year, you need to get less. And again, I don't even know what the $30 to $2 thing. He's just speaking out of his ass. I someone who can babble, I'm like, I get it. Like, things fly out of our mouth sometimes, but I'm like, you're the goddamn president of the United States. Can you just have some like talking points? And I know it's part of like the crazy circus we're in right now, and the fever pitch of just like flooding the zone with crazy news and sound bites. And I get it. And I get that it's designed to like spark outrage and to distract us. But I think that the distractions are becoming less and less because people are becoming more and more aware of like, yeah, the outrage, the identity politics, the stuff that's really put out there to like destroy us through division. It's becoming a little less obvious because people are like, no, but you're not doing anything to help us. And again, like these crazy layoffs that happen, these crazy cuts that are happening, the doge of it all. It's like the tariffs. It's like things are just getting worse, and things that actually were stable are becoming more erratic. And we're supposed to like just take it on the chin and be like, oh yeah, actually you don't care about our retirement funds or our 401ks or cost of living or this $30 thing, and telling our kids they have to have $2, whatever the metaphor in that lies. It's like, and people are like, I don't know, I'm not really like buying into this anymore. And I saw a lot of parallels to the Pluto and Aquarius. So I thought that was very interesting. Two things I want to say as a side note. If astrology isn't real, there is some very, I would say, very gnarly astrology coming, to good old Trumpster in, from now until definitely like through the summer, through July. I'm curious if you want me to do a separate episode on that or dedicate if astrology isn't real to that, let me know. It's just sometimes it's like too much to talk about even here, even though we have a separate space now. And if astrology isn't real, it's like we are going to see a lot of interesting things, I think, happen in the court of public opinion and with the people he surrounds himself with. And it's not going to be a good time to be him in the next few months. If I was his personal astrologer, I would be like, well, first of all, I'd be, I'd be like, you need to go just leave society for a while. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting time. And also, I was just looking at him this week and I just want to give a PSA. Like, if you are someone who is struggling with imposter syndrome because you are worried about not feeling smart enough or articulate or eloquent enough, and I get this way too. If you have imposter syndrome about not feeling qualified enough to do something, I just want to say, girl, Donald Trump is president of the United States of America and talking out his ass. This man makes no sense. I'm listening to these interviews and I am like cringing beyond like the other emotions I'm feeling. I'm just like, it's painful. So don't let that stop you. Do not. Like, next time you have imposter syndrome, I just want you to be like, no, girl, not today. Diva, get your shit up, stand up, go out there, speak your thing. Because like if Donald Trump is literally standing by these words, like with like 10 toes down on like ABC, making no sense, or you can go out there and like do your Instagram post or make a podcast. Okay, please. And then the other thing I want to say about Pluto and Aquarius during our Pluto watch is this. Pluto is not a quick moving planet in that Pluto, even the transit of it being an Aquarius is going to be a 20-year journey. And Pluto takes roughly 250 years to return to a sign, meaning when we're in a Pluto moment, things are not happening fast. They're not overnight. Mars and Pluto just oppose each other in the sky, and Mars is a very quick planet. Mars wants to do things today, yesterday. Mars kind of represents individual, like anger, motivation, rage, drive, ambition is Mars. It's me. It's I can go, I can run, right? And Pluto, it has a lot of that same charge, but it's on the collective level. It's like deep. It is a group of people thinking that is going through those feelings of rage, but going deep, 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 deep to the root of them, to like the inception of them, to the beginning of where did this emotion begin, and what are all like the systems and structures and active psyches and subconscious like our drives and our motivations that stem from that. It just goes much deeper, which also means that the things that happen during a Pluto cycle also have much lasting the effects, and the changes are much longer lasting is what I'm trying to say. So it's like Mars, it's like someone being angry against an injustice happening. And we need that. We need that warrior energy, especially now with all this Aries shifts happening in the sky. But we also need the Pluto, right? Like Mars is like, I'm angry against something. Pluto is like a group of people toppling, a statue of a racist bigot. It's like there's like the person and then there's the group, and we're in this group energy of Pluto and Aquarius, and I know it can feel like nothing's getting better. Where's the hope? Where is like the light? Pluto does not come to play, and Pluto does not disappoint. And if you just look into any Pluto cycles in history, it's very literal, it's very real. The astrology is on point. But we're talking about Aquarius, a fixed sign, fixed air. There is a lot we have to uproot, and Aquarius seeks progress and innovation no matter what. But Pluto is like, we gotta play the long game here. So we gotta keep showing up. We gotta keep taking care of ourselves, taking care of each other, our energy, and that's on that. So let me know what you're seeing that feels very Pluto and Aquarius to you. Of course, Aquarius also rules things like technology. It's all very literal up in there. Yeah. Okay, so shifting to a little bit of the collective energy in terms of like pop culture. Another very Pluto and Aquarius thing is like the Met Gala happened this week in New York City on Monday. And it's like, famous. I think it's gotten much more like mainstream or much more coverage in the past few years. But the who's who, the top of the industries, especially in entertainment, come on this super elaborate red carpet moment and do dress really like in a way of outdoing each other, and there's always a theme, and it's like, I think in sometimes it's like, okay, I've been entertaining, but definitely the past few years it just feels so off, and it feels very Pluto and Aquarius. People are like, people are dying, there's genocides happening, there's people starving, there's like natural disasters, and like we're just supposed to like sit here for a night and like just be like, yay, you're so dressed up, oh my god, you look so cute. And I think again people are falling for it less and less. But I did see a cool thing. It was on feminist Instagram, and they chose to show the people who, okay, actually I'm going to share. It's Feminist and Repro Rights did a shared post. And I thought it was kind of a cool, like, let's be honest, people are going to still keep doing the Met Gala. Like people's rage and everything happening in the world. It's like, unfortunately not going to stop some of these institutions or traditions or just things like from carrying on their own momentum. But I thought it was very Pluto and Aquarius that they did this great post where they showed people who like what they were wearing and then a screenshot of a headline from them of standing up for something, right? Black trans rights, reproductive rights, speaking out against, the anti-trans ruling in the UK, sharing abortion stories. Really cool. So go check that out. I thought that was a great example of like integrating this Pluto and Aquarius level on the pop culture level. And I'm again not going to call it like one person in particular. I was kind of inspired by it. And now shifting gears, instead of peeking at an individual's birth chart this week, I wanted to just talk about the North Node in Pisces. So we teased it last week that the North Node very much, we're talking about the node of the moon. We talk about the North Node. The moon in astrology represents, mundane astrology represents the people. And the North Node kind of does a really interesting job of like setting us in a new direction in trends. And I still feel like, the North Node in Taurus, I feel like brought us into like trends of cottage core and getting really cozy and like our athleisure. North Node in Aries, I feel like a trend. I saw everyone went through like a rebrand of some sort, or people like just doing things in a much different way, or a lot of like kind of like celebrity breakups. And I was like, okay, again, there's so much more I can say about it. But North Node in Pisces, I spoke about last week that someone had sent in something about like fisherman fashion for the summer. And I was like, what? That's just such literal North Node in Pisces energy. And again, we started this January 11th, 2025, and we'll be there through summer 6. So it's an 18-month journey, and I'm going to link in the show notes, but Leah Vandervelt, one of our cosmic baddies, who's also an astrologer and kind of has been on her journey to becoming a professional astrologer, while listening to this podcast and being part of our community. So I'm so excited. I love watching people grow and blossom and step into their power like that. Did this great Substack about like what the North Node in Pisces means and the South Node in Virgo means, but did a great example of like, listen to this gathering of receipts that she did. So she talked a little about during North Node in Aries. We saw things that were very Aries coded. Themes that were like trends in the public. A mob wife, old money, definitely very like Libra South Node, rise in personal style content in general. I saw a lot of stuff during the North Node in Aries that was like, stop copying other people, stop worrying about like, is this nail polish shade in or out? Is that hairstyle in or out? It's like, just do what you want to do. And I was like, yes, finally, people are saying it. And then during the North Node in Pisces, these were Pinterest 2025 predictions. Like, listen to how North Node in Pisces this is. Fisherman aesthetic. We talked about that. Sea witchery. SEA witchery. I'm like, I love that that's even just like a thing. And I sort of relate to that. Again, as a Pisces moon, I'm like, yes, I'm always living that life. But I'm so curious to see how this plays out in the public. Real soiree. Castle core. So North Node in Pisces, like Pisces so rules fantasy and imagination and like fairy tales. So it's like, of course, castle core is in. Aura based beauty, which I love. I love reading people's auras. I love talking about auras, and beauty, even of itself, and glamour magic is very Piscean, especially talking about it through the aura. And I just love like people at Pinterest putting this list together. And I'm like, so yeah, if astrology isn't real. And the last one, which I was obsessed with, chaos gardening. So gardening in its of itself, I would say, is very a Taurus traditional thing, earth sign. But chaos gardening and working with like the chaos fairies and just people who like throw the wildflower seed packets like all mixed and just like see what's coming up, that always feels very Piscean to me. So I'm so curious, what are things that you're seeing that feel North Node and Pisces coded? And even like I said in the beginning of this podcast, with everyone watching the Conclave, it's very North Node and Pisces. Pisces connects us to spirit, to ritual. And these moments, it's like the collective consciousness is very Pisces. Like people are watching this, and there was a cool thing on
the cut about just like how much the TikTok algorithm is taken over right now. And people are watching this, people who are not Catholic, people who are Catholic, people from every continent, every country, people are watching it. And it's interesting. And I had dinner with one of my husband's friends this weekend, and he is just a Brooklyn Jewish guy living in London. Really does not, he said, he's like, I don't really like follow anything about Catholicism, but I'm so enraptured when they have to pick a new pope. I love it. And we were saying, we think it's like we're just very ritually articulate human beings. We love ritual as humans. And I think that watching the Pope's funeral and the conclave and waiting for the smoke, it has it all. It's ritual, it's mystery. It's like also there's very few things in life that aren't like that are still like surprises in this way, that are, there's like a mystery element to what's going on behind the closed doors. And like we're brought in on it in some ways, we're there, like you could stream from Rome and people are in the square there, but it's like we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. And it just feels very like ancient, and something about it feels very North Node Pisces. Something I just want to talk about with the South Node in Virgo to wrap up here. I might have touched upon it. I forget what I say. I just yap so much. I yap so much. If astrology isn't real, then why? Sun and Mercury in Virgo. I just can't stop the talking. South Node in Virgo right now. So when we have a South Node, I want us to think about, it's like we're dumping the contents of something out to kind of look at them and reassess what our relationship is to that energy. And it goes through a little bit of like a rock tumbler, like a karmic like reconstruction of how we look at that sign. So right now we're in South Node in Virgo, and I want you all to pay attention to what is going on. Very interesting conversations going on around health and wellness. Everything from things I've seen some online commentary, or people putting out some interesting like thought leadership pieces on the connection between like fascism and some wellness trends, or of course eugenics and some health and wellness trends. And this like you clean girl aesthetic is like two steps away from promoting really harmful authoritarian, I can't speak right now, you know what I'm saying, some bad shit. Classic. We know that a lot of beauty, wellness, health standards are just, very lightly, thinly disguised ideologies that are associated with white supremacy, with ableism, fat phobia, with transphobia, internalized late stage capitalism, colonialism, all of those fun things. And if you're looking for more information on that, Maintenance Phase is my sister's favorite podcast, and they do such a good job at breaking down like wellness trends through this lens. It's very entertaining and educational. But I think on the mainstream, like collective, we're going to see some rejection around some of these Virgo. We've been so health and wellness obsessed for the last like decade or so. And I think that there's about to be a different level of backlash happening. And I think it's going to happen on a few different layers in our society. One, with Ozempic being made more available, it's like, I think thinness is about to be like less of a status symbol as that becomes more and more accessible to people. And there's going to be something where it's like, okay, being thin isn't enough. Now you have to be toned or muscular, or again, anything that shows that you have the means and the bandwidth and the ability and, financial, physical, and otherwise to spend hours, of working out. Or maybe just a complete, like, are we going to go full like Middle Ages, Renaissance, Renoir, Rubenesque, like being fat or being obese is actually a sign of wealth because you can afford food. Like, is that, like, I just wonder, in a dark way, it's like, well, food could get more scarce. That could be true. Or again, just something of like, I don't know. It's interesting. I've just been finding some interesting thought-provoking pieces on the internet in more like niche or fringe kind of writers I follow, but there's something there to it. And I do think there's something to also like this whole pressure on everyone to be like clean girl aesthetic, that girl, Pilates princess, like get ready with me. And even like young people, especially the Gen Z generation, talking about like not going out and instead like doing their face masks and their workout routines and they're on their EMF mats. And that's like great. But in some ways too, I'm like, life is about getting messy. And like, being in your 20s and doing skincare and drinking tea every night, like once in a while, that's fine. But you also got to go out there and be a little messy. And let me know if you disagree or agree in the comments. But there's definitely, I think, something we're going to be seeing against this. And again, self-care has been commodified for a very long time, but it's gotten really ridiculously commodified and very like, again, capitalist coded with like people's self-care, like the 25-step skincare routine and buying all these like biohacking devices and even just like the outfits and everything being very, again, South Node Virgo, like perfect and aesthetic. And it's just like, I just feel the backlash is about to come. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you see that is very North Node and Pisces, South Node in Virgo coded. And let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you. So yeah, that is your Star Powered Scoop for the week, your cosmic tea with receipts. As always, let me know if there's something you want me to go over. If you want me to go over a DJT's chart, or is that just like too much? And we're like, no, yikes. But I'll be checking the comments here on YouTube. You can always slide into our DMs at the Cosmic RX. And until next week, keep your eyes and ears out for those If Astrology Is Not Real, Then Why moments. Do you love getting your Cosmic RX for the week here and want more? Make sure to sign up for our premium subscription so you can get exclusive access to bonus podcast episodes, all of my astrology info for the month ahead, and live new and full moon calls to help you manifest your dream life with an intentional international community of other cosmic baddies. Sign up through our link in show notes.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about Cosmic RX, head on over to thecosmicrx.com. And if you really love this show, I'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I super love hearing from you and reading your reviews. All right, you cosmic baddie, tune in next week. And until then, remember, love yourself fully, work your magic, and take no shit.